Hello, everybody. This time we're doing a little bit of something different
Yay, different.
because different doesn't mean bad.
Yes, different is fun.
It can be fun. So, what we're doing this time is we're going to be talking about some news because when I heard it, like all the emotions just hit me at once. Like, I thought this news was like funny, but also disappointing. But like, then it made me inquisitive. And like I'd have to look at an emotion board just to figure out all the emotions I felt when I figured this out.
The first
Uh,
thing I thought is, why did it take so long?
why did what take so long?
What we're talking about today.
Oh, well, the news that we got was that Nintendo is finally suing Pocket Pair. Just like everyone thought was going to happen, like what was it, a year ago when it came out? Like
January.
January.
Almost a year.
So yeah, about a year ago, Palworld came out, and everyone thought that Nintendo was gonna sue because all the pals that like were just blatant ripoffs of Pokemon, the ones that were general ripoffs, and then the ones that were like I could kind of see how this one looks like this one, but like everyone was like thinking it was inevitable, but you know after about so long, like all these months,
Yeah,
like.
it took so long that you started to think, well, maybe Nintendo's just gonna let it go. Which is very unlike Nintendo.
And here's the funny thing. They did let that go. What they're not letting go, because I have their filing lawsuit pulled up right here. They are suing for infringement on multiple patent rights. They are suing because it's a monster catcher RPG type deal, which honestly it's more real-time strategy, which is what we all imagine Pokemon to be like, but
Yeah,
technology at
it's a
the time was.
survival game. It's not really an RPG. There's not really a story.
I mean, you do level up, so it's more of an action RPG than a turn-based RPG. But
Yeah, but I mean, it's a survival game, which is a genre like on its own. It's more Palworld is more like 7 Days to Die than it is like Pokemon, gameplay wise.
who made 7 Days to Die?
I don't know.
Okay. I was gonna say maybe they should be suing. They could probably get more money
No,
out of.
they can't sue because there's another game in the genre. I just
Apparently,
used
that's what Nintendo's doing. Like, apparently,
Yeah, that's fair.
like
Cuz creature capture games don't exist everywhere.
they flooded the market. Like, I know you're being sarcastic, but like seriously, when Pokemon came out, it flooded the market with like all these kinds of like. It just opened the door for everyone to rip them off. Like, how many of you know what Robopon is? Like that one died off because it was literally just a ripoff of Pokemon. Is Palworld in trouble now because they actually made success? Like they hmm?
The weird thing about it though is that Nintendo's usually on top of that kind of stuff. Like when the mod came out for Palworld, that turned the pals into actual Pokemon and you could play as Ash. Like Nintendo jumped on that in 24 hours.
Oh yeah, and
Why did it take them 9 months?
yeah, I don't get it. Like you're right. Like there's anybody remember Pokemon Uranium? That was a fan made game from the ground up, not even a mod. Like they built it themselves. It was free online, and as soon as it was done with development, like not even like they didn't even wait for they didn't even stop it while they were just in production. Like it was shut down the second it was finished and posted online. That's when Nintendo did their cease and desist order. So, yeah, it's kind of baffling why Nintendo waits for these things. Like, do they really feel like their case is going to be better? Is in my mind, the longer you wait, the longer you get towards statute of limitation. So, if anything, they're like shooting themselves in the foot.
Usually their legal team is right on that shit. Like, usually they're ready to pounce. And considering that they're suing in Japan and not in the United States, Japan doesn't have any fair use laws like the United States does.
Oh yeah. Like if you exactly. So we are allowed to make parodies and stuff like that. In Japan, if you did what like Starbomb does, if you made animated parodies like a billion YouTubers and like 1,000 Newgrounders that are still left floating around,
You
like
know, that's a good point. I'm surprised that Nintendo didn't go after Starbomb for that for their Poke Rap.
or their other Poke Rap. Like I don't think they can though, because like that's here in America. Pocket Pair is actually a Japanese company, so they are going to handle it in like a Japanese law sort of deal. But also, this is not a parody. Palworld is clearly trying to be its own thing. Like honestly, if they claim to be a parody, well, no, we were just talking about how it's in Japan. Like if they based the company in America and said it was like a parody, then they'd probably get away with it. But then they'd also make a lot less money because people would be like, "Oh, it's just a silly little thing." Like, I don't need to spend money on that. But yeah, like it's like my first thought when I saw it was like this is kind of funny that like it's kind of just looked like Nintendo was like, well, I don't think we can get them on them looking like Pokemon. What if we get them on making a game that acts like Pokemon? That'll show them.
But it doesn't act like Pokemon that much to me. You know,
It
like they have they don't have gym battles, they have tower battles, which are different. Like gym battles, you go in, you either fight a bunch of people or you solve a puzzle, and then you hit the gym leader. In these tower battles, you go in and you fight a boss. It's more like a raid, like in WoW.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. And also, like I said, it's an action RPG, so it's not like you're going in and then you go, okay, I'm sending out one guy at a time, and then that one guy is going to be good against the guy that they throw out. So I'm going to have the advantage, and numbers go brrr, and then I win. And it just really disappoints me because Nintendo is showing time and time again, like just how much they care more about like not even money, just more about their intellectual property than their fans. Like it just it's just very disappointing that because I remember like seeing that Legend ZA was coming out and like how it's going to miss this Christmas season. And to me that said, "Oh, they're slowing down. They're realizing they can't just pump out 15 Pokemon games in a minute and then make money off of that," which they were. Which they were. But now they had some competition. And that's what upsets me. They saw competition and they're like, "Okay, we can either go higher quality or we can sue them and make them go away forever and we'll never have this problem again." Which no. Somebody else is going to come along and they're going to steal the spotlight. Like you're not solving your problem by being an asshole. And I feel like they felt like they could get away with it after they did their shit with the Joy-Cons. Pardon my French. But like they only cared to try and do something about fixing the messed up Joy-Cons after they were about to get a class action lawsuit. And what they did was basically the bare minimum. They put out a news story that barely anyone ever saw. And basically what they said was, okay, if you send in your Joy-Cons, if you pay to ship your Joy-Cons to us, we'll fix them and then send them back to you. And you won't have to pay for us shipping them back. To me, that's really not enough. First of all, you got to get the word out there to a lot more people than just your diehard fans or diehard gamers who would, spend enough time online to see this. And then at the same time, like it, you say you're fixing them, but then like your new Joy Cons have the same problem. So what exactly are you doing when you send them in? Like, are you just swapping them out for the parts that are going to break down again anyway? And then eventually you're just going to say, nah, we fixed them too many times. Now you don't get to fix them.
'Cause they
Like,
want you to buy more. That's what they want. They make more money off of buying more than they do off fixing stuff
yeah, but that's the
or
annoying
making
thing.
quality product.
That's the annoying thing. Like, because we're supposed to spend our money on their games, and then we don't have any money left over because we got to keep buying their Joy Cons. Like, why would you risk your why would you risk the people buy your consoles? The reason people bought the Switch was because it had games that people wanted for one reason or another. Like Club 51, that game that's like 51 board games, that was probably going to do okay at best, but it came out like around COVID, luckily for them, and people wanted something to do indoors. So it exploded.
So the
So
thing about Nintendo, I think, is because they really popularized um console gaming. I feel like they're just getting too big for their britches. People are always going to buy Nintendo because it's Nintendo.
see, I would agree with you on that one if it weren't for three consoles, I'm going to say. Nintendo 64, GameCube, and the Nintendo Wii. So, the Nintendo 64 for its time was actually one of the weaker consoles. Like it was still cartridge based and the PlayStation had come out and it was disc based. So PlayStation had, technologically stronger games. Nintendo, the only way it held itself up was with the quality of its games, but it still did well enough. And then the GameCube came out. The GameCube almost killed Nintendo. Like it did not do well at all. There's a reason that a GameCube system costs like $30 used and all of their games are like hundreds of dollars. It's because the games themselves are super popular. And like at the time they weren't because the GameCube was such a weak game compared to the Xbox. And the PlayStation 2 exploded because it could play DVDs. The GameCube would never have an opportunity like that because they got the smaller discs, which also hurt them with like, super large games. Resident Evil 4 was a popular one, and that one required two discs. So that's more disc to manufacture. That's more that it costs, but they still need to do it because, they probably would have died even more if they didn't have third party options. But yeah, they were on their last leg. And then they got lucky with the Nintendo Wii because that one just catered towards, people having fun. Like you get the Wii remote, get Wii Sports, go play with grandpa and grandma. Like that is what saved Nintendo. Is go play with grandma and grandpa. And grandma and grandpa love playing with their grandkids. Just get the Wii remote, waggle it, and throw a bowling ball. Like that's what saved them. Actually, going off the Wii, um, so they did have the problem with the wrist straps. Like those absolutely like were breaking and smacking the Wii remotes into TVs and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I
I don't
remember that.
I don't remember how they handled that because like I didn't hear the Nintendo news like I do now. Maybe I'm just more upset about the Joy-Cons because I have the access to the information that shows that they don't give a crap. But yeah, it just seems like after Nintendo got back from the disaster they created with, you know, like just going backwards with the GameCube, and then once the Wii U came out after the Wii, like they were just trying to ride the coattails of their success. They really didn't learn their lesson. They tried to milk it for all it's worth, and that was a commercial failure. Even though a lot of those games were a lot of fun, and they did try harder with the third parties. I'll give them that. Like the Wii U did have way more third parties than the Wii ever did. Then they came out with the Switch. Like it was rebranded, like they did everything right with that, and then they just became assholes. Like it really sucks. Like they just don't learn their lesson of if we do better, we're ahead of the competition. We don't have to try and take everyone down to stay on top. Like it really sucks to watch them do this again.
I feel like Nintendo needs some data analysts.
Really, they do.
Nintendo, I'm available.
Yeah, all 60 of our subscribers go out and tell Nintendo that V needs to start telling them about what actually helps their company. Cuz I don't even know if they like us like putting their stuff on YouTube. Like I'm pretty sure if they saw us like if we get famous and they see us like with the modded version of Paper Mario on the N64, like they'll probably hate us for life. Like, how dare you take our property and breathe new life into it so that way you can appreciate it more? It does not make us any money, you heathens. Like,
So speaking of, Nintendo games on YouTube, the only reason why I bought a Switch was so I could play Octopath Traveler because I could not find footage of it anywhere.
that's not surprising. Like that's one of their IPs that like just wasn't it's not very like popularized. Like it's not that it's a bad game. There are people out there that absolutely love it and for good reason, and it sells well enough. It's just not a lot of people want to go out and watch it. So like the few of you that do want to watch it, like it's a lot harder to justify. We could play it here on the channel if you want. Like I am down to watch you play it.
So what do you think is going to be the outcome of this lawsuit?
Um, that's a good question. So in my mind, Nintendo doesn't have a case because like it seemed really easy in the beginning to the point where fans were emailing them and they got annoyed with it. Like people were emailing them daily and just spamming their inbox and eventually they put out a notice that was like, "Yeah, we got it. We'll handle it." And then, Palworld is just up for so long that they're able to make an update where they add so much content and then like a month after that is when Nintendo decides to strike. And it's like you've heard
Maybe Nintendo was just waiting for Palworld to die.
that would be a dumb idea considering, you know, they already made the money. Like you said, what early access is supposed to do is gives an indie developer resources so that way they can keep making the game. If you are making a game and people make it break records on Steam, that's a clear sign that this thing's not going to die. You don't break well, it wasn't sales records, it was server records.
Yeah, concurrent players.
Yeah. When you break records for how many people are playing your game at a time, you're not dying.
Yeah.
You are thriving.
What was it? 5 million players in the first 5 days? And I bought it for both of us on day 1,
Yep.
I believe.
Yeah, you were that adamant about trying out this game.
I really, really
Well,
thought it looked fun. I was really looking forward to it.
let me tell you, you were 100% right. It is a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It's got a lot of things I love,
Mhm.
including the fact that it told Nintendo to slow the fuck down. But I
Yeah.
don't like that Nintendo is now going, now we have to attack. And that's why I feel like they're going to lose. Like they waited way too long. And now
Yeah.
not only have they like the only thing I can think of is they have let what's the company called? Pocket Life? Pocket Life.
Pocket Pair.
Pocket Pair. They have I think it was alliteration, but I couldn't think of it. Pocket Pair. The only thing I can think of is they probably put more money into their work so they have less left over for a lawsuit. But that's just stupid because Nintendo can spend all they want on a lawsuit. Like, I don't feel like they have to try and win that way. Plus, I really feel like this will just get a judge to go, you know what? You waited this long. Why? It's not like you didn't know. We have evidence that your own community was spamming you to the point where you told them to shut up. How are you going to say you don't know? How are you going to say you don't understand? How are you going to say you don't have all the facts? You were hand delivered all of that by your fans, the ones that were clamoring for you to sue, and you did nothing. How are you going to say that now is the time that you need to attack?
Do you
Like,
know what annoys me the most about this?
what's that?
Is that the annoying people when Palworld came out, like when I'm sitting here enjoying the game and other people are like, too bad it's gonna be taken down soon. Fuck those people. But
Now
now
they
like
might be right.
now they might be right. So I'm just that's what angers me the most about this is that those dickbags were right.
They might not be. But the way you're saying it, you feel like Nintendo's going to win this lawsuit.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I don't know. I don't think I mean they might simply just because they have the resources behind them. And Pocket Pair is an indie developer that only has one other game that was not successful.
Wait, what was their other game?
I don't remember what it's called.
Let's just look at that real quick.
Yeah. It was something that was a lot of people it was unfinished, but they used a lot of that to create Palworld. But then Palworld was so successful because they switched engines and they got people in who were more knowledgeable about working with that engine.
All right. So I'm looking at it. It looks like they did a few things actually. They did something called Over Dungeon, which looks like a card game that looks like a ripoff of Yu-Gi-Oh. So apparently they don't just rip off Nintendo, they rip off Bandai. Cool. Craftopia. It looks like
Craftopia, that's the one I was thinking of.
more like Craptopia. Yeah, 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 yeah. Honestly, it looks a lot like Breath of the Wild. Art Imposter. Oh, look, you can see some pals in this. Wait, what is Art Imposter? AI drawing party game for 3 to 8 players. You're a progressive artist who commands AI to generate images, and you don't need aesthetic talent to draw good artwork. It only takes 5 minutes playing between multiplayer between Steam, Android, and iOS is supported. I like that. I like that it's cross-platform. I don't exactly understand what the premise of the game is, but yeah. Oh, and they got another game coming out called Nevergrave: The Witch and the Curse.
That
And it's
sounds kind of badass.
it's got a demo. Let's see, early access, Metroidvania action roguelike 2D.
I'm
So
not a huge fan of Metroidvania games.
because that's another name for 2D Souls like at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, that is exactly what it looks like it's going to be. I'm watching the trailer right now, and they are advertising that you're gonna die a lot, and then
Okay.
you kind of just come back to life with your hat, like your hat. Oh, 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 that's really cool. Okay, now that's even cooler. Holy crap. Okay, so this is a ripoff of Mario Odyssey, but I love it. Is that your hat can come off and take control of bigger and badder monsters. And it's 4 player. Like you can have so many people help you out. That's that is insanely cool. I am now downloading the demo.
That
Oh,
sounds like something that we can play together.
yes, and it doesn't matter if you suck because we can play it together and we can suck, but we'd be big monsters. And two big monsters versus one big monster doesn't stand a chance. Oh, that's so cool.
I hope that Pocket Pair has done well enough that they can afford good counsel.
Well, here's the thing. They're the publishers of this game, and apparently the developers are people called Front Side 180. So I guess that like they kind of just made a name for themselves, and now they can, Oh no, uh, I'm going through their games, and it looks like they made the same games. So does that mean that no? Pocket Pair developed and published Palworld. Uh, AI Art Imposter. That's all Pocket Pair again. Wait, so then why does so how come when I click on Nevergrave and then I click on Frontside 180, like it still gives all the same games? But that would be kind of weird. Like, how does that? Okay, that really is weird because I click on Frontside 180 and it redirects automatically to Developer Pocket Pair. That, hmm, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this thing. Like, this is quite odd to me. Okay, so
I don't know if this is the kind of thing that's going to go in front of a judge or like a committee or what, but whoever it is, I hope they're gamers who can see that Nintendo has just gone so downhill in favor of greed.
unfortunately, like it really does suck that they're like that. Like, because we grew up with them, and the reason that they were so successful was because they went against that greediness. Like, Nintendo was so against things like DLC and like forcing you to play online. Like, they just saw those things and they're like, no, our customers don't want that. Our customers just want to buy a game and play it. And now they're like doing shit that's worse than some of these people. It's very upsetting.
I hope that Nintendo loses and then realizes that, if you make better quality stuff, you'll make more money.
Unfortunately, they haven't learned that. What they have learned is that, you know, you can pump out, your IPs and just make money. That's all there is to it. Like, just slap a Pokemon Coda paint on anything and it'll sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, but the industry is really changing. And Nintendo's going to have to change too to keep up or they're going to be left behind
See,
very quickly.
that's the problem though. The industry was changing back when they refused to change and they still thrived because we were like, yeah, we don't want to have the full experience with DLC. We want to buy a game and have that be the game. DLC is supposed to be an add-on, not supposed to be, oh, now you can have the rest of the story. It's like you guys are just ripping us off. And but then Nintendo dipped the toe in the water like, all right, so how about this for DLC? Pretty much a brand new game based on the old game. So what they did was it was New Super Mario Brothers U, and the DLC was New Super Luigi U, which was like an entire they made all new levels in all new worlds. It was basically long enough to be its own game. In fact, it was. Like you could buy it for $40 instead of $60. Or you could buy it for like $30 as DLC for the game if you already owned the like first one. And like that was their first dip into it, and now they got things like, you know, Sword and Shield DLC and Scarlet and Violet DLC where it's like, yeah, now you can use this to get old Pokemon. It's like we were used to you guys just letting us have old Pokemon. And it's really skeezy and upsetting. All right, then we should be signing off pretty soon. Yeah, guys, post in the comments. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, all of you, post in the comments what your thoughts are. Are you upset at Nintendo? Do you think that they have a chance at this lawsuit? Uh, just yeah, whatever you guys are feeling, just post in the comments. Because we're just a couple of people with way too much, you know, ADHD brain that's just flying all over the place. Try and help us focus so that way we can think about these things. Maybe we'll make a follow up to this if we get enough, if we get enough people commenting. We can see what everyone says and then we'll talk about that. That would be a lot of fun. So
So
comment.
hopefully the new podcast does well.
Yeah. It, we'll definitely do more like this in the future because, you know,
And we've
be,
got ideas.
yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Nintendo, Nintendo's big month is coming up. We all know November is the month of Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon's anniversary. Probably do some stuff with that, including another podcast.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we just hope that this does well, so that way we can do it more for you guys.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we are signing off. Bye.
Bye.